Welcome into the Walkons podcast. We're back, episode 161. We've been doing this for a while. We are coming off a win for the Hawks.
Don't even know what that feels like. Feels like it's been 2-3 millenniums since I've seen a Hawks win.
It's been
in a hot minute.
What day was the Holiday Bowl? It was
the 27th or something.
December 27th, I think.
So we're looking at almost in between 10 and 11 months since the Hawkeye football team has chalked a W in the column. That's not what we're looking for, men. But what we are looking for is a 49-7 victory. Well, Kevin was looking for like a 42-7 victory.
49-0 would have been fine with
49-0 would have been great. He teased.
It really hurts that they screw the under there.
Yeah, just
we knew Michigan State wasn't good. I didn't expect them to be complete trash, though.
I didn't either. I told on the little 10-20 minute reaction pod that I do for the patrons, I said I don't think Michigan State quite understood what was going on. It was one of those games where on tape Michigan State saw what Iowa's product was against Purdue, against Northwestern, and then the Hawks came out and it was like,
you know what I think it was, Kluber?
Was it me?
I'm taking my credit.
I was at the game. I think.
No, I'm taking my credit because I talked a lot of shit last podcast, and I think that my words got infiltrated into the locker room, and these guys are like, "All right, listen, I don't know who the fuck this Drake guy thinks he is." But we're not going to stand for this. And I think it lit a little bit of a fire under their ass. So I'm just going to keep talking smack until we end up 7-2 or 6-2 or something. You know, if I just keep talking shit and the train just keeps rolling.
All right. Well, you do that. Let's hope it works.
Hey, I mean, we can get to that segment. We can definitely do that. We're going to have to talk about the good things though for a second. It could have been, you know, how they, for those listening, they used to play the opposing team's fight songs on trophy games, I think it was, or
away games,
just to simulate kind of the environment of, hey, it's going to be loud when they're doing good, and it's going to be.
And it didn't stop.
Yeah, and it didn't stop, and it was really annoying. It wasn't always the away fight song. Sometimes the Iowa State one was just god awful. It was this guy. Oh God, saying oh God, that was the worst one. It was traumatizing to say the least. You remember
the cyclone warning just kept going off in the locker room.
He's like, we brought the hammer. So we broke the rock. What, you remember? Oh
yeah, I hated that so much.
So maybe they threw on the Washed Up Walk-Ons podcast over the locker room loudspeaker. You never know. And they just
we're appreciating them for letting us get our views up.
Yeah. And then they just had Drake on repeat saying, these guys are a bunch of fucking pussies trying to run their own team. And, a week of that, and this is the product. I doubt it. But they were 0-2 and maybe they were looking for answers. So we'll get to the Hawks in detail in a second. Let's go around the league real quick. First of all, the Big Ten is not what you would have guessed it to be. Let me just pull up the games here. Again, Michigan State, Iowa, coming into this game, you would have thought it's going to be a close game. Trap line. I kept telling my brother, not the one on the team, the middle brother, we sat there right before the game. He goes, dude, I think this line is fishy. -6, -5.5, I think, by game time. He's like, I think this is fishy. I think Iowa's going to actually smack them. And all of a sudden, and he was mad for him not betting it. And then we come out, we're up 14-0, and he just looks at me and he goes, dude, I knew it. I knew there was something wrong with that line. Like, just that hindsight 2020.
Vegas raked it in. I mean, you see they opened 9, it got down to like 5.5, 5. So
they just made a shit.
So all the money was on Michigan State.
They just made all the money on the Spartans.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. Who would have thought Rutgers puts up 27 against Ohio State? Michigan gets
I actually had Rutgers covering.
Did you?
They're getting like 37. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Michigan, who just got beat by Michigan State, goes in to Indiana and gets handled.
Loses outright.
How about the Penn State PP touchers starting off 0-3?
0-3. 0-3. If you would have told me,
tough.
if you would have said, hey, here's the odds on Penn State 3 weeks into this season, they're going to be 0-3. What money are you willing to put down on that? I would have said nothing. I won't even bet.
I don't care what odds you're giving me.
There would be nothing I would bet on that. And here they sit 0-3. They got absolutely worked by Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
Maryland's 2-1.
What about this Indiana team?
Are they good?
Dude, they can put up a lot of points.
I think
Kevin was the one talking about it before the season, and then they came out and started off scorching hot.
I mean, they had a good season last season. They were kind of doing the dual quarterback thing with Peyton Ramsey and their guy there now.
Yeah,
I'm drawing
Michael Penix.
Yep, and they decided he's going to be our guy. Peyton Ramsey transfers, and they play good defense. Like back in our day, it was like, oh, Indiana's a Big 12 team, puts up 40 points a game, but can't stop anybody. No, they play good defense now.
I remember that 2015 game. It was game 9 of the season, and we knew that it was going to be an offensive shootout because they could score points like we could kind of score points that year. And we knew that their defense was trash, and we showed it. I think Akram went like 65 yards on our opening play or something from scrimmage to go up 7-0, something stupid like that. But yeah, I've got their stats pulled up here. Michael Penix Jr. in 3 games, he's thrown for 750 yards. They've got a running back with 235 yards. They're really balanced across the board. They're averaging, let's see, the completion percentage isn't great for the guy, but I mean, they seem to just be playing really complimentary football. Mm-hmm. And
they've been forcing turnovers, and I think they've been taking care of the ball, right, too.
Yeah, let's see. Turnover
that makes life easy. That makes life easy.
They've got, spread out touchdowns. It's interesting to see a team like Indiana who,
so they beat Michigan, beat Michigan, Penn State,
beat Penn State.
Ohio State.
It's Indiana, Ohio State, boys.
For the East. That's
the East Championship.
Yeah.
I mean,
you got to imagine that they're going to roll Michigan State.
I think
their 2 crossover games is Purdue, which might be a good game, and who knows if they'll get to play Wisconsin.
Yeah, so the rest of Indiana's schedule is Michigan State next week, 11 a.m. game.
Easy dub.
I mean, Michigan State, they might be looking for ways to cancel their football program at this point.
Well, I mean,
everybody just opts out. Like, reason why we suck.
We suck ass.
So I mean, is this what happened with the Hawks yesterday? Is that a condemnation of what's going on in Michigan right now?
So that's the question, right? And again, we're going to talk a little bit more Big Ten before we get into the Iowa game specifically. But I'm sitting here thinking, well, and I think a lot of Hawkeye fans are probably sitting here on Sunday. It's a weird feeling because, okay, this is what we were hoping for. This is what we would, a 40-point win on Michigan State. That's good. We want that. It comes on the heels of 2 losses that feel just dirty. And now we're
two really close losses. Like, you're 4 points away from being 3-0.
Yep.
Like that.
5 points, I think. 24-20 and then 21-20. So it feels weird. What are the Hawks? What are the Spartans? I don't know, because Michigan State, I'm sure their fan base is sitting there thinking, we just beat Michigan.
Are the Hawks a little humbled?
I don't know. So here's what I think. Let's just dive into it. Iowa comes out. I'll tell you this. First off, and I got an anonymous, I got like this weird anonymous tip this morning from somebody who works at Kinnick, I guess. I don't know. They wanted to remain anonymous. Said, I got to this.
Are you fucking like Adam Schefter getting these inside texts?
Yes. I am the Iowa Big Ten Adam Schefter. It said, I don't know what he does at the stadium, but he works at the stadium. He got there at 9 a.m., which is about the time that teams arrive at the stadium. For those that... Well, for anyone who was there for the Hawk Walk, the bus pulls up for at least for the Iowa side. We roll up 2 hours prior to game time. Other teams probably do it a little different. I think we were usually there before the other teams, actually.
It was usually around the same time.
It's about the same. Teams kind of run the same structural schedule. So the specialists, who are the first ones out, and actually now the way they do it is they go out without pads, like our skill players and really all of our players. We do a primer. The quarterbacks, the receivers, they throw without pads on, just really loosen up, do some route running, do some footwork. I think the DBs went out and did some stuff too, Kevin, and the linebackers maybe. And then we come back in. Specialists go out at like 80 minutes prior to game time, like almost an hour and a half prior to game time. And the team trickles out after that. As you know, if you've been in the stadium, you see different groups come out. But the entire team is out on the field for a full 40-minute warm-up. I think 62 minutes before the game is when the entire team is finally on the field. And we roll into the locker rooms like somewhere in the 20s. So we got a full team warm up for 40 plus minutes, plus some individual stuff. This guy said that the Michigan State team, the first Michigan State players out on the field, came out at 10:13, and they left the field at 10:37. The entire team warmed up for 24 minutes and then left the field and were like ready to play. I don't know what's going on at Michigan State or what. But that was the inside information. Like, they literally came out for 20 minutes and they were done. Like, I don't know. I don't know. It looked like, and I was there. It was great to be back in Kinnick Stadium, by the way. Weird and different for sure. But Kinnick Stadium is Kinnick Stadium. It was a gorgeous day outside, mid-60s the entire game. There was not a cloud in the sky. The energy from the Michigan State sideline was like a graveyard. It was bad. It was really bad. And granted, the game was not going their way, but everything about the way, the Coach Wallace demeanor, the demeanor of the Spartans program looks like that it looks like they should maybe reschedule for a D2 layout, maybe some D3 teams, because
that's right after they just covered a 25-point spread to beat their rival.
And I don't get that. I don't understand how they beat Michigan. Is Michigan good? I don't know. The Big Ten is just a clusterfuck. Like, I don't get it. Indiana is 3-0. Penn State's 0-3. It's 2020. I think I did not see, how did the Clemson Notre Dame end up winning?
Double overtime, dude. It was a legendary game. I don't know if you watched it, Kevin.
I did, yeah.
Oh, legendary.
Honestly, Notre Dame probably should have won by more in regulation. They had those turnovers in the red zone.
Agreed.
So did Clemson win or Notre Dame?
No, Notre Dame beat them 47-40 in double overtime.
Holy shit. Well,
and then they rushed the field, so now everyone's got COVID.
Oh God.
The coronavirus.
I think Notre Dame lets the entire student body into the game.
Wow. Yes. Their student section was wild.
But they have them spread out throughout the stadium.
Psych.
Yeah, until you rush this.
Until, you beat the number one team in the country, and then everyone's on the 50-yard line.
Hey, great way to go out. Great way to go out. Beat the number one team. Don't play a game the rest of the season because everyone has COVID.
Honestly, and then just call yourself the national champions.
The 3-0 national champions.
Very strategic.
Oh, God. The Tigers figured out that it's really tough. And actually, there's some other Tigers figuring out that it's really tough to play without your star quarterback. LSU, clearly struggling a little bit more than they did last year. Clemson, granted, Notre Dame's a good team, but it's tough to play when Trevor Lawrence isn't on the field.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's that. And Clemson just doesn't have the dominant defense that they've had the last couple of years.
Yeah.
That'd be way more concerning to me if I was a Clemson fan than
for sure.
What the offense is doing. I mean, even without Lawrence, they still could put up points.
Yeah, was there any other interesting games? I know I had a little parlay going.
Florida beat Georgia pretty handily.
And that was part of my parlay. I had Georgia to cover 3.5, I believe, as one of my bets this weekend for college. That didn't happen, not even close. And the other game that Kevin and I were both betting on didn't happen at all because of COVID. So I was really looking for that Air Force Army game was going to be my highlight of the weekend, baby.
Yeah. I always love when the academies play each other.
Oh, it's great. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see that one play out. So I was 0 for 2, or I guess 0 for 1 on betting college games this weekend. I am wearing the Buffalo Bills hat today. No bet in on the Bills, but always supporting the guy, Girthy Butker. That's a
dude. The fact that Ike starts for the Bills now, it's one of the coolest things that's happened in my entire life.
It's really cool to watch Josie.
Dude, Josie and Ike start in the NFL.
It's crazy.
We used to just hang out on the couch and play Fortnite.
Oh, we played so much Fortnite.
Well, I didn't play any Fortnite, but
you got in on a couple games.
Sure. But I watched a lot.
I wish people could just know the side of Josie and Ike that we know. Like just that chill, like.
Oh, you mean you wish people knew that Josie wasn't actually a tough dick?
We can't keep saying that. We really can't. He is though. He's fully domesticated father.
He has a daughter now.
Yeah,
like
he's soft.
It.
This just in, Josie Jewell is soft as hell. And that's that. That's going to be the title of the episode. So Iowa, Michigan State. Let's dive in. The Twitter, the Iowa fan base, the annoyance with Iowa football last week was we got to run the ball more. We got to run. When Desmond came out and called us the bullies of the Big Ten after we beat Wisconsin in 2015, first of all, the entire locker room hated that. And second of all, the bullies of the Big Ten, if you're going to be the bullies of the Big Ten, you run the ball, right? Iowa is known for running
and you stop the run.
Yeah. And it's just like we weren't doing any of that. I mean, we were decent on defense through this first couple weeks, but Spencer Petras was leading the Big Ten in passing attempts going into this week. Even after yesterday, he's second.
Not what we needed. No,
not what we're looking for. Not at all what we're looking for, boys. I think he had 89 passing attempts through 2 games or something like that. Just not what we wanted. We need to run the ball. Brian Ferentz, what are we doing? We got back to that yesterday. We got back to doing what we do. We opened up the first play of the game.
Drive was beautiful.
Beautiful. First play was beautiful. I think we run a solid just Iowa football play for like 6 yards on first down. And I was like, oh, maybe Brian was on Twitter this week. I don't know. I don't know. How do you guys think? I know that KF in the post game said that he was not happy with the distribution. He's like, that's not what we want to do. Do you think him and Brian had a conversation this week? Like, hey, Brian, we got to run the ball. We got to run the ball a little more, man.
Well, do you think it went down publicly? I can only imagine he said it to him privately.
Right.
Do you think it went down kind of like KF pulls Brian to the side and he's like, listen, I'm not even your boss or the head coach anymore. This is your dad talking to you. You remember all them days in the backyard when I used to snap the ball and turn around and hand it off to you and you would run to the end zone and we would celebrate the touchdown? He said, yeah, whatever the fuck you're doing right now, you need to stop that shit, all right? And listen to your dad. We're going to turn around and we're going to hand the ball to our thoroughbred running backs.
Thoroughbred. Tyler Goodson, speaking of, only 14 carries, which is a little bit of a jaded number because he didn't even play in the fourth quarter. So those numbers aren't like full game statistics. I think generally if we could get, and it's a lot, 20 carries a game in the Big Ten can become a lot. This season, we only have 8 games, so he's not going to get beat down like a normal year. 14 carries for 113 yards. Most of it coming on a 71-yard pop that he almost housed. He got run down by one of Michigan State's DBs, I believe. What the hell is going on there? So what we wanted to see, He averaged 8.1 again, the long run, 2 touchdowns for him. Mekhi Sargent, 2 touchdowns. Charlie Jones, Tyler Goodson, Mekhi Sargent, Gavin Williams in the fourth quarter, Southeast Polk freshman. Southeast Polk, by the way, looking really good. They're in the Final Four for the 4A Iowa State Championship running here. I believe this is 23, 25, 33 with Ivory Kelly Martin's 5. We're 38 carries. 38 carries.
That's what we're looking for.
27 passes. So you do the math, that looks about 60-40 to me. That old 60-40 number that KF loves to talk about. So clearly, and games are going to look different.
And it got Spencer in a rhythm. I think Spencer played a lot better because he was put in good situations, and I think we kept the defense off guard. Like, we establish a run, play action pass, linebackers out of their coverage zones, and boom, easy completion.
And it's tough to say whether or not this Iowa offense looked good because we found rhythm. Obviously, we found rhythm. But how bad is Michigan State's defense?
They're not great.
They're not good, for sure.
I'll tell you what's worse. It's probably Michigan State's offense. Rocky Lombardi is not a good. He also looked like they were talking about it. He looked like he was kind of hobbling around a little bit too.
He did.
Get some zip on
definitely had a bad knee or bad something on his left side, but also not sure the kid knows what he's doing. I think last week might have been an anomaly. I don't actually think he knows what he's doing.
Rocky Lombardi.
I said last week, like, he was just tossing it up to his receivers, and the receivers were just making plays last week.
And that didn't happen this week. 17.
One big play.
Yeah, one big play that set up
their own play that leads to a touchdown that screws my over.
Yep.
Whatever.
That was a nice ball. Like, he can throw a nice. He might. You know what he might be? And I tweeted about it yesterday. I tweeted about Cornbrath's leg.
Wow. Wow.
Is Rocky Lombardi the Connor Cornbrath of quarterbacks? Like, he can.
That's crazy.
I have to say something about that. Parker Hesse texted me and say, you have to set Hoover straight on this Connor Cornbrath shit, disrespecting Reggie Roby like that.
There are some people who are like from Roby's time when he was playing, who really felt disrespected by it. And I get it, because you look at the argument, you're like, why are we talking about Connor Cornbrath and Reggie Roby in the same sentence? And you're right.
Hall of Fame punter.
You're right. We shouldn't, but I know that you two at least once caught a glimpse of what Connor Cornbrath could do 1 out of 25 times if he caught that motherfucker. And I promise you.
Well, this is the thing, he was he was a reasonably athletic 6'5", 6'6",
yep.
Like, his levers were insane. So obviously, if he gets that 7-foot long leg through the ball and flushes one, it's going to go 100 yards.
And this is what I think people got confused on. And maybe Parker, I know he's not confused, but I'm not trying to say that Cornbrath can hold a candle to Roby. Cornbrath punted for 2 years, kind of lost interest in being a Division I football player, I think. And, incredible guy, loved having him as a friend and a teammate, just didn't take punting and being a Division I punter real seriously. But boys, I'm telling you, and I know people were trying to tell me that Roby also hit these kinds of punts, and I'm sure he did. Hall of Fame punter, Ray Guy Award winner, 49.6 yard average as a junior, 48 yard
is astounding.
48 yard average as a senior at Iowa. Connor Cornbrath, I swear to God, hit into a slight headwind, a 76 yard 5-7 hang time punt, and I know that means nothing to you guys, but I'm telling you,
to me, it means I have to run really fucking far on punch.
Yeah, that'd be horrible.
But you have a really long time to get there.
Yeah. I've snapped to over 10 NFL punters.
Flex.
All ones who, Pat McAfee included, Marquette King included. Marquette King, one of the biggest legs of recent memory. I'm telling you, these guys, Cornbrath's best ball beats their best ball. All right. And I get it. Roby is a legend. He's literally on the top. He's like top 3 punters of all time ever in football. But that's for what he did.
You're telling me that Cornbread hits a better piss missile than Marquette King or Pat McAfee. That's the punter of the decade.
100% on his best ball. 100% best ball. And that's
what about McAfee's best ball? What about Marquette's best ball?
It's not as good as Connor's best ball. I promise you. Now, their average ball is just thousands of miles better than Connor's, because Connor's average ball was like a 42-yard wobbler, but his best ball, if everything's perfect and he hits it perfect, Connor wins against anyone. I'm telling you, he was 6. I think Connor was actually 6'7", 6'7", like 242. And had legs. And I know, and someone's like, dude, Reggie Roby's knee would touch his face. And I'm like, yeah, so would Connor's. Connor, I mean, I'm telling you what he would do in practice with mythical guys. And I've never seen it. I snapped to Pat McAfee, granted at the end of his career. I snapped to freaking Brett Kern. I snapped to Matt Hawk, who's the current from Iowa, hits absolute lefty piss missiles for the Dolphins, will today against the Cardinals. I mean, I've snapped to guys who are modern day punters, and they don't hit balls like Connor Cornbreath would. It's just absolute absurd. But speaking of our punter, he currently leads the Big Ten in net average.
Dude, this guy might be the best player on our team.
Is it possible? Is it possible that at the beginning of this season, you would have said Penn State's going to be 0-3, Michigan's going to rush for 13 yards against Indiana, and Iowa is going to have a punter win the Heisman? That's what's going to happen this year.
Dude, not only does he hit absolute piss missiles, his plus 50 punting is insane. He's just out there with a lob wedge, putting it 3 feet from the pin.
Here's how good Tory Taylor is. I talked to Keith Duncan after the game yesterday, by the way. He said just bad kick. Wasn't anybody's fault. He just hit a bad ball.
It's okay, Keith. I still love you no matter what, and we still know that you're the best kicker in the country, and one of my favorite people to party with. So love you, bud.
He's just trying to get the under for me, and I appreciate the effort.
He was working hard for Kevin Ward on that one, and I can give a little more insight on that. But back to the kicking, or back to the punting, what Tory Taylor is doing. Like you said, Kevin, the plus 50, there's 2 types of punting. Well, there's starting to become a lot of types of punting, but really generally there's 2 ways to hit a football with your foot. There's the spiral rocket missile that we're used to. And then there's, the one that comes off the foot, turns over, and is spiraling like someone threw it out of their hand. Art, in my opinion. But maybe even more artistic is the end over end pooch punt that is generally used once a team gets around midfield. Kickers these days, they're able to hit 40 to 50 yard punts.
Let's give some respect to the banana punt that Hecker's hitting.
Yeah, nobody hits the banana. There's 3 ways to punt, and only one guy uses the 3rd way, and it's Hecker. And actually, not to get everyone too excited, but I was told that Tory Taylor's working on the banana. But
oh my God, if he hits a banana punt and that sumbitch wrecks itself out of bounds at like the 4, just straight right into Kinnick's wall, I will lose my mind.
I was told that Tory Taylor is working on the banana punt, and I was never been more excited in my life. Never. Tory Taylor, again, midfield, end over end. Generally, you can't hit those as far. Generally. But you hit them when you're closer. You only have to hit it 30 some yards, let it roll a little bit, get a little backspin. You know, you got that wedge out. You put a little backspin on it, roll it back to the hole. That's what Tory Taylor's out there doing, except he's doing it from everywhere. We're backed up out of our own end zone. He hits it end over end 50 yards. 50 yards. And people don't understand. He also, and if you see him, he's so mechanical and just calculated when he catches the ball. He'll look up, he'll see where the rush is at. He'll angle his body and just with calm, cool, collected poise, just puts a little stroke on it. I mean, I don't know if he's had a bad punt this year yet. He doesn't
This
understand.
is really turning into a special teams blowjob podcast.
Well, what Iowa special teams is got to be up there for best in the country right now. So we
shout out LeVar Woods, one of my favorite humans on the planet.
Dude, he's
speaking of Iowa special teams. How about the punt return for a touchdown? Right before half, didn't like it. Wanted the under if we were already winning the game. And I think we get a pick six.
And I'll tell you what, Charlie had another damn good punt return too that he was pretty close on. So
I said in the instant,
I like him back there. I think he's doing a really good job.
Oh, absolutely love what this kid's doing. First of all, he's got the confidence of a veteran. There's a lot of things that you can't see on TV, as you guys know, as players. There's a lot of back to that demeanor word that you see in person. How are players running on and off the field? All of this matters, and I know some of you don't get it, but all of this matters. How do players run it on and off the field? How are they greeting each other? What are they saying on the sidelines? What's the energy like? How is a player talking to a coach after he comes off for a bad play? How are they celebrating on good plays? A lot of this stuff is small, like little biomarkers of a football team, of how the culture and how it's going. What's this team look like? What's the identity? Charlie Jones, his demeanor is exactly what you look for in a football player. And you can see it when he's back there returning these punts. He's taken – a lot of people will take peeks, and you can kind of tell they're like a timid peek. Like they're looking up at the ball. They take a quick peek like, oh, crap, I'm going to have to fair catch this. Charlie's taking peeks to make sure that he has just 2 yards of space because he is confident in catching it, and he knows that he's able to do something with it after the catch. He is –
That's a nerve – that's probably the most nerve-wracking position in football.
Gotta be. You're back there on an absolute
That has
island.
to be one of the most nerve-wracking positions in all sports.
It's literally like, hey, this is the job description. We're going to stick you out in the middle of the field by yourself. We're going to send a ball, 100 feet in the air. You have to run to it, catch it cleanly, and there's 10 gladiators running at you. And you have to...
And if you drop it, 70,000 people are going to hate you.
Yeah.
Not to mention the people watching at home.
Yeah, punts are a lot harder to catch than people think.
Way harder to catch.
It's not like you're a receiver getting a ball from a quarterback.
No,
like that thing's moving all over the place.
Yeah, and Charlie Jones is showing. He's definitely the most talented returner we've had since Desmond. I haven't pulled up the stats for punt return, but he is got to be up there on punt return for the Big Ten. Similar to the rest of our special teams. Really happy with what he's doing. And you're right, Kev. He houses like a 54-yard punt return. Lombardi comes out, decides that he's going to throw it to his fellow CIML alumni, Riley Moss, and Riley Moss decides, well, I'm just going to find the end zone as well.
And
tough.
Just like that, the under was dead.
Incredible. I will say this, Michigan State, like I said, everything was going wrong for them.
You remember Tyron Tracy's coming across the middle. Spencer throws like a piss missile at him, bounces off his hands, then Brandon Smith
right into his hands. It's like
I'm telling you, you can't do anything wrong. Yeah.
The feeling in the stands, which is like 90% parents, we're sitting there and everyone just kind of laughs and is like, everything's going right. I can't really describe the feeling of the stadium and the feeling of security we had on that game, like the hold the Hawks had on that game. I would say like when we beat Western Michigan 63-7, do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
I would say like that's how it felt. Like the confidence we had in that game. Like this isn't even a game. Like we're clearly going to win. It's more about like us getting good reps in at this point. That's what yesterday felt like to me, being in the stands, and it's a really, really great feeling. Yeah. Fuck, I just forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, everything going right. Michigan State, they had a lot of inopportune. Like they found themselves into the wind a lot. It was windy yesterday for sure, which first of all made what Tory Taylor was doing into the wind on the punts that he had against it just even more incredible. Lombardi's passes, which again aren't great to begin with, a lot of times were into a heavy wind and you could see him die. He was just throwing him in the ground. They were having a lot of trouble getting anything going. Iowa defense played solid. Barrington had a pick. Kerner had a pick. I don't know where Lombardi was throwing it on that play. I just don't understand a lot what he was doing. Offensively, we spread it out. Tyrone Tracy, 4 receptions for 38 yards. Brandon Smith, 3 for 35 yards, and another Moss touchdown. I mean, that if you throw it to him in the end zone, he basically comes down with it. That's it. It's 1 for 1. Sean Byer, 2 catches for 34 yards. Reganey, 3 catches for 32 yards. Ivo had a 17-yard catch. Really fun. Laporta, really quiet game. Didn't really need him. Like I said, Spencer was only on the field for so long. Goodson only had 14 carries. Like, because of the special teams and the defense, this is what a game kind of should look like. If all 3 phases are dominating, your offense doesn't have to do a lot. And when it does, it's fresh. And we ran it down their throat, and we ran great plays. One thing.
You know who's a stud?
Who?
Neck roll.
Bro. He was wide open for a touch. It's crazy you just said that, because I was just going to come to one of the things that we saw yesterday that we did not see a lot of in the previous 2 weeks. I think in today's world, you need pre-snap motion. You have to have it. Defenses are smart. People are athletic. If you watch the offensive minds of the NFL, who are just so good at play calling,
like the Niners and the
Niners and the
both
Rams,
huge on pre-snap motion, and it's a lot. Why? Because you can line up in the formation you're going to run the play in, but it's a lot easier to diagnose pre-snap if you're the defense.
Mm-hmm.
If you have motion stuff, Wisconsin always does this. You'll have like 2 guys shift over, then motion back. What it does is it forces the defense to make the adjustments on the fly. So, okay, we're in this defense, this coverage, line's doing this stunt. Okay, formation is completely changed. We might have to change all of that on the fly. And it's hard for a defense to communicate all of that. The good ones do and do a good job of it. And, if everyone's on the same page, then at the end, it's the same thing. But, you catch one guy out of a gap, you catch one guy not get the call, and that's all it takes for an offense to do really well. But yeah, I was usually done a pretty good job of it. I think we're doing a lot better job of it now.
3 really great examples, and one includes our Drake's guy, Monty Pottebaum neck roll, who is just majestic in person as he is in pictures, dude. Lauren leaned over and goes, "Why?" I was talking about him, and she's like, "Why does he wear that thing?" And I was like, "Well, that's so his neck doesn't break in half." And also,
it's very necessary.
And it looks incredible. So 3 plays. One was the same play. We ran it opposite sides. So what we did was we had a Laporta motion. The first time we ran it. Laporta started on the right. He started on the left. He motioned to the right side. Immediately, he got to the other side of the formation. Petras sends him back to the left side. And then we run a zone scheme to the right side. So we have all of the defensives, like Kevin said, the defense is looking at Laporta. He comes across the formation. He comes back across the formation. And now we run the play to the opposite side of where Laporta ends up. And the gaps opened up perfectly. I think we ran it for it might have been a touchdown, or we got a first down on a big 3rd down play. We come back later in the game. We flip that as far as right and left goes. We fake the handoff, and we have Laporta in the end zone and Monty Pottebaum wide open, 1 level beneath him. Petras decides to go for Laporta, who is covered, and we end up not getting the touchdown. But you could see how this stuff started to open up. And then another big one later in the game, we were in a 2-back shotgun formation. Goodson on Petras's left, Mackay on Petras's right, 3 receivers. We motioned Goodson out into the slot, so we're now in a double wide, and we run on a 3rd down play, we run out of shotgun, and it's wide open. We dominate the inside. We blow the defensive line off the ball. The gaps are huge. It's a 3rd and 6, and Mackay goes for 8. Not needed in this game, But those are the types of plays where if we can use that pre-snap motion to just grab an edge, half a guy, or maybe one guy advantage, those are going to be huge when we need them. And I think that was a lot of the complaints is we're just lining up and just telling you what we're running, and you can't do that all the time. So a lot of good things. 49-7. There's not a whole lot more to say.
There was one time on the broadcast that that you could very clearly hear Spencer check to an outside zone to the left. I won't give away the verbiage, but then the announcers, whatever, the people, them floating heads in the box, they were trying to talk about how, he was re-identifying the mic and he did this because he saw this, that, and the other. And I'm like, hey, dickhead, how about you just say he got 7 yards and move on, because you don't know a damn thing.
It's so funny. You pick up on that a lot. You guys probably do more than most people, even me. The announcers try to diagnose things and like tell you what happened, and they'll like make shit up. They'll just say,
Dan Orlovsky was quarterback in the NFL, and you know a lot about football, but you don't exactly know what the scheme of that team is and what their rules are. So you have to guess on it. It'd be like the same for me trying to diagnose what's happening in somebody else's defense. Like I know Iowa's defense like the back of my hand, so I can know who fucked up, who was in the right spot, and who was the one that actually made the play. And I could look at Northwestern's defense, who runs a very similar style defense, a couple of different rules, and speculate but not know for sure. So, sometimes you gotta take it a little easy on the guys in the booth, because they're not in our meeting room.
You really hate my guy Orlovsky, huh?
I don't hate him. I just I don't know.
I kind of like him. I
just think they're a little bit annoying, man. I think they overstep their bounds, and I think they try and do more than they're really than they should have the authority to.
But you got to admit,
what do you think about when Tony Romo calls games then?
Tony Romo is very, very unique in a way that I think he is actually a genius, a football genius, where Orlovsky is nothing of the sort.
Here's what I'll say, though. I would rather, even if you take a bad former player who's good at announcing, like he's not a poor announcer, even if he's like kind of having to guess on a few of the things, some of that insight is still better than like the guys who never played.
Sure, it's better than Booger, and Booger played too. So like there's levels.
Booger's
to
the
it.
Worst. I hate Booger McFarland.
I turn the game on mute and put some music on or something if Booger's calling a game.
I really think that they should give us 3 a broadcast.
We could definitely get like the Toolbox game broadcast.
That would be hilarious.
Holy shit, dude. I would love that.
The Toolbox game presented by the Washup Walkons. Are you kidding me?
I don't think there's anything more fitting.
That would be insane.
That would be so perfect. Let's set it up.
I feel like Laura Vandenberg, she's got her own setup. She's got like the Iowa game day, and she has like this tent and this desk set up like where the student section normally is in the stadium. And I really felt like damn, they should hook us up with like a Washed Up Walk-Ons booth so that we can like I don't know. I think that would be great for the Iowa brand. I am probably wrong.
No, you're right. You're right.
But imagine if they got us 3 commentating the game live on like a channel or like on YouTube Live, dude. And they don't even have to do anything. Just throw us on YouTube Live, tell people that there's going to be some cussing. It's not for kids. And then they've got all their liability taken care of. And you've got the walk-ons commentating the Iowa games as a sponsored by the university. We'll dial it back a little bit. We won't call them pussies or whatever, but
unless they do something that is pussy.
Yeah. I mean, if they got to be,
you got to call a spade a spade sometimes.
You call a spade a spade. I think it could work. Real quickly,
when people say that we're bad for the brand, they're wrong.
If they think we're bad for the brand, they're wrong. Actually, I was talking to, there's a couple of people who work in Iowa sports. And as I went through the ticket area, there was a couple of them working there. And we were like, we love your podcast. We love your podcast. We love listening. It's so good. And I was like, every time someone says that, I'm like, all right, that's fucking weird.
Weird that they told you, or weird that they actually like this shit?
Weird that they actually like it.
just weird that like,
it's weird that there's an outreach.
Just that, like, yeah, you see somebody and it makes it personal. Like someone randomly comes up and goes, man, like it's that whole
like because when I log into the Zoom and I just figure like I'm just having a conversation with you two and nobody else is listening.
Right. But in reality, you fill you fill a stadium that seats 5,000, sometimes 7,000 people, and that's who's listening to this thing.
On our best day, we could fill the Unidome.
Yeah, on our best day, we could probably fill the Unidome. On like our best episodes, I think that place seats like 16 or 17 or something like that.
Yeah.
That's who's listening to our podcast. And like, it's just wild. And we're so thankful that all of you continue to listen. And then real quickly before we go, we're so thankful this merch run, from what I'm hearing from our guy, a lot of you guys went out and balled out and bought a bunch of the flags, a bunch of the merch. So I saw even a couple of the parents wearing our merchandise yesterday. So it's just crazy that this continues to be a thing. The NFL is coming up. Who are we cheering for today? I know who we're cheering for. The Patriots, baby. Fuck the Jets. They're playing tomorrow, but screw the Jets. The Jets are 0-8. We hope they go 0-9. I also have Kevin has Baltimore, I believe. Baltimore over the Colts.
I think I took the Steelers minus like 400.
Yeah, you took the Steelers versus the Cowboys. That should be interesting. Huge spread. I took the Vikings -4 over Detroit, and the Packers already cashed on Thursday night.
I'm so upset at myself. I just got to put that out there that I'm a total bonehead for not picking the Packers.
Easiest money.
I completely knew going into the podcast that San Francisco had $80 million of cap space on IR. Like I knew that, and I still didn't pick them. So I apologize to the people. I hope you listen to Kluver, even though typically it's fade Kluver 2020.
And still fade me. Because I picked the Minnesota Vikings today, the Detroit Lions will win by 3 touchdowns. That's just how it works. That's it. Episode 161. We got the pig coming up. This is Kevin's favorite week of the year, generally. Floyd is on the line Friday night. So what
you're saying is it's time to get roasted?
It's time to get roasted. Baby. Get the bacon out. Start sizzling it up. The Hawks take on the Gophers Friday night at 6 p.m. And it should be a good matchup. We will talk at you guys Thursday. Thank you guys for listening. Peace.